Well, welcome. We continue the silly season. Tonight, we're going to meet somebody who wants to step up and help our children as a school committee member. So why don't we start with an introduction?
My name is Scott Vecchiola, born and raised in Milford.
Scott, I'm from Milford. Why should I vote for you?
I believe I got the right knowledge and I want to give back to the town even more, and I can help the people and their children. Try to stop the bullying and some other issues going on in town I see. I'm a town meeting member. I'm an active voter in the town on Vernon Grove Cemetery Board of Trustees. I enjoy that. I'm getting to learn the budgets that way. I believe the school committee is the best place to learn better on the bigger budgets.
It is the biggest budget we have.
Yeah, and people go, why do you want that headache? I go, well, maybe I'm up for the challenge. I go, you have to start somewhere and look at everything. Fair and balanced, right across the board. You got to look at it all. You can't have no favorites. That's how I look at a lot of stuff. I listen to everybody's opinions, and I go, well, I got to make my own opinion, and I want to be fair to everybody. I work with anybody to get anything done. That's how I always been.
So as you look at the school, I'm going to ask you, if you could pick the three biggest challenges you think is going to happen or come up for the school committee to handle, what do you think the three biggest challenges would be?
Maybe the legal immigration kids, because that is taking money away, but you have to give the kids the teaching. They deserve it. I don't blame them. Not their fault. Two, probably the IT, technical. We find ways, but until he gets the good stuff together for us to see it, then you can go from there. And probably the new budget coming up. See how everything goes on that.
Any ideas on the new budget? Have you had a chance to, kind of
I
look?
hear things and see things. I hear it's supposed to be okay this year, but following year, maybe not. So then you have to see what you might have to cut, might not cut. You got to see what the state has too to offer us for the money. Then you go from there. That's how I see it.
I think every year becomes a challenge. You start looking at a lot of, and you hit one of them, a lot of the unfunded mandates.
Yep, there's a lot of them.
The SPED requirements aren't getting any less expensive every year.
Everything goes up. It's the way I think the society's going. Everything's going up. Nothing's getting cheaper. I wish it did.
But what do you do? I mean, at most, we can raise 2.5%.
I don't like seeing raised taxes on the town people that are already putting a lot in there. Try to work with your representatives, state senator, even the governor. Maybe find a way that way to get some money back to help us out.
But do you think the new governor has much room to wiggle?
No, not right now.
I mean, I'm
He came
hearing
into a big mess he has to fix, and maybe down the road he will. I like what he's doing so far. He's trying. Gotta give him a chance.
Oh, no, I hold nothing against him, but, the man walks in and I hear $750 million deficit, and next year $1 billion plus. You start wondering, how much wiggle room does he have?
He has to make some tough choices too. It's hard, but some people don't like that, but you have to do that sometimes.
Well, what's the alternative?
I don't see nothing. If you have to cut, you have to cut.
I mean, he has said that he won't raise taxes.
I believe he won't, but he has to cut somewhere.
Somewhere, something's got to give.
A lot of people don't like change, but hey, sometimes you have to play tough to get stuff done too.
Well, I mean, let's look at, you mentioned the immigration issue. How big of an issue do you think it is for our schools?
I'm hearing pretty big. There's a lot of them here that are in the schools, and we have to pay for them to get teaching and everything, and that's taking money away from other stuff that could happen in the schools, but they got the right to learn too.
Well, they're Milford kids.
Yep.
Regardless of how they got here,
Yep, they're Milford kids.
once they land here,
we have to teach them.
you have to educate them.
I'm all for that. You have to. I don't see right or wrong on either side on that one. You have to teach them. That's what we always do. That's how we are, who we are in America.
Sure. And I mean, realistically, you can't fault the kid.
Nope.
You
I
know?
don't.
How many times I've heard people say, well, just close the borders and turn the kids away. It really sounds easy in my mind
But
when you're talking an abstract concept.
Yep.
I don't know that I could look at a sick child or, you know, a poor child on the border and look at the little girl or little boy and say, go away. I mean, I know I couldn't do it.
I couldn't do it. I'm like, no, come on.
Yeah, exactly.
You deserve something
Right, wrong, or
better.
indifferent, we'll find a way.
to help you. You deserve a better than what you're getting now. I wouldn't turn them away.
How could you? I mean,
They're only a
forget the
kid.
law.
Yeah.
You know, because they get this kick out, well, the law says we have to. You know, I guess I don't buy it. It's not the law. Once they hear they're Milford kids,
Yep.
and you can't talk to me about, well, legally we have to. I mean, they're our kids. What are you going to do? You can't turn them away.
Nope. Some people, well, we can't. That's not right. I go,
What are you going to do? Deport them to Hopedale or Bellingham?
Yeah. Let them deal with it.
I mean, no. I mean,
But everybody's dealing
it's
with
not
it.
immigration. This is Milford. We're not the United States. The country can't come up with an immigration policy. How would we?
Yep.
You can't say you can't live here anymore.
And it's going on in every city and town anyway. It's happening all over. It's nothing you can do about it. It's a part of the society today. It happens. They come in, their parents are coming in trying to get a better life, and the kids have to learn, and they're learning, a lot of them.
But can you really, I mean, what do you do? I mean, we got 17 kids showed up after the budget was made in the high school. Some of them didn't speak any English, most. Some of them had no formal education.
It's tough.
What are you going to do with the kids?
We have to teach them. We have to bite the bullet and teach them, and hopefully find a way to get reimbursed somewhere down the line if you can get it. Work with your Representative Fernandez and State Senator Fat Man. Maybe you can get something done that way.
But if you can't,
Then you have to just bite the bullet and take it in.
figure it out.
Figure it out. That's all. It happens.
What do you think their effect is on the image of Milford?
Well, I hear all different stories, but to me, either way, they're here trying to make a living like we all. Everybody came here from somewhere, so I can't fault them.
Nope.
I give them, some of them that talk to you, some of them say hi to you, and some will, you know, but.
Yeah, but I mean,
But some I think are scared too. They don't want to come forward and say hi. They think everybody's a meanie, but we aren't all like that.
well, but you think about it, in the image, when you look at the test scores, I get so tired of hearing that Milford's average is less than the average in some of the towns around here. So therefore, we must have worse schools.
I don't think so. Everywhere's probably equal. Maybe some towns are a little higher, but it is what it is. Nothing you can do about it. Everybody wants everything perfect, but sometimes it can't be perfect to be good.
I remember Tommy Davrin helped me understand, because when I was on the Parents' Council at Middle School East, Tommy was principal. And I said, Tommy, why do our numbers suck compared to other towns? And I don't think our kids are any less intelligent
No,
or less motivated, but yet I can look at certain towns around us and they score much higher than we do.
True.
Doesn't make any sense to me. And normally, when something is that out of whack, I mean, I don't consider myself the smartest person, but I'm not the dumbest either.
No.
There's usually data I don't have. And sure enough, he showed me. He says, you got to look at a bimodal distribution. You've got a whole Gaussian curve on the top end.
Yep.
That average is as good or better than any towns around us or any of the towns they hold out. But you also have a Gaussian curve down at the bottom where you're taking kids that, I mean, take the kids from Texas that just showed up.
Yep.
They've got a year before they take their, PARC, MCAS, whatever you want to look at it. And they're going to typically not score as high. What a surprise. If I took you and gave you a year of German and said, or French or Spanish
You're not gonna score.
and say, now go take a test.
I'm like, okay, but you're not gonna score. You don't
I'm
know
going to
it.
do the best I can.
True.
You know, and I think you said something that was profound. I mean, these kids are just like all of us. You know, when you look at the new Ecuadorians, well, the Ecuadorians, well, they're the new Brazilians.
Yes.
Who are the new Portuguese? Who are the new Italians?
Yep.
Who are the new Irish?
Irish.
Dang all these people for being just like us.
Yep. We all came from somewhere.
We all came, unless your name is, you know, some Native American,
Yep. And there are a few of them around too.
but not that many.
No, there's not many around anymore.
So we all came here. You know, my grandfather came, and my mother moved to Milford in '41 with $32.80 in their pocket.
There was a lot of money back then.
Yeah, well, you know, they came to make a better life.
Yes.
How can you fault anybody for being just like us, wanting to come?
I don't. Because I listen to the past and I go, I can't do that way. I understand what they're doing. They're trying to get a better life. Now, some might come over the wrong way, but hey, they're here.
But you know,
But there's ones that do it the right way too, but it's every race. Everybody does it.
I have no sympathy for people, whether they're legal or illegal aliens, who come and break our laws.
Yep. And they do
To
that
me,
too.
throw them out.
Yep.
You know, just very simple. It's
You
like
break it, go.
if you invited me into your house and I start breaking your furniture,
You're gone.
you have the right to throw me out.
Yep.
But I have a hard time faulting, you know, people like my grandparents, my mother and father, who came over, put their head down, worked, paid their taxes, contributed. Okay. You know, they made a mistake. They blew it when they sent me to school and I didn't know any English. Heck, back then we didn't know there was another language. It was only Portuguese
Yep.
in the Heights,
True.
you know. So when you look at the school, you mentioned we have, you know, the immigration issue. Some in the recent papers, something I hadn't been as aware as I probably should have, is our police chief is on an opiate task force.
Yes, I saw that too.
Concerning?
Yes. Very. I know there's a lot of that stuff going around. I thought it was mostly older in their 20s, but when I saw what I saw in his report,
15-year-old?
that worries me a lot. That's too young, in my opinion.
God, what do you, I mean,
You have to work with the police chief. Maybe get some messages out there to the kids and see what's going on. 'Cause that's too young.
it's amazing. I mean, when we grew up, if you remember, what year were you out of Milford High?
92.
See, you were much younger than old folks at 74. I remember seeing Milford on Johnny Carson.
Oh, I heard all about that.
Yeah, where he had the Karnak, and he held up Milford, Massachusetts. Of course, we're all waiting, okay. And he said the third largest per capita drug center in the country. Stunned us. And that was 74. I mean, they've taken a lot of strides to eliminate it.
But it's hard. I read his thing. You get rid of one guy, another one's right there.
And didn't he say he got rid of one woman and
Two more came in. It's like it's like a train. Just keep coming. It's like that stuff is just that bad. And I hear stuff comes out and stuff like, woof. It's around. I know it's around, but
and we're walking, from what he said, we're walking right in the middle of it. This wasn't like some dark alley in a big city that, you know, nobody goes to that's good
No.
people.
it's everybody.
He said Dunkin' Donuts? Wait a minute now. Now you're hitting too close to home.
And I actually go to the Dunkin' Donuts near my house, but it happens. You don't know who's who, though. You think they're good people. And all of a sudden, you find out somebody's in the bathroom. Like, whoa, didn't see that
I
coming.
was gonna say, my God, I just pull up. You got a smiling face, gives me coffee.
Yep.
Or McDonald's.
Same thing, yep.
You know,
The needles.
The needles?
They're everywhere. They throw them wherever.
that to me was incredibly concerning, because how many times, 2, 3, 5 years old, I'm walking hand in hand with my kids from that parking lot. The fact that they could be, now I would be looking
Even
at my
on
feet.
any sidewalk walking down through town. And you got those little kids walking around with their parents, they pick one up, ooh.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm holding my daughter's hand walking, you know, and you think they touch everything that you don't want them to touch anyway.
Yep.
Big challenge coming up is assimilating Woodland. Any thoughts on that?
Make sure it goes right. Right now, I guess I know there's $70,000 under budget, and that's a good thing. Get some money back to the town. I believe it'll go fine once it's all. Just make sure everything gets work done. Right, you're gonna probably have a little hiccup here and there. It happens on every construction project, but I think everything will go good. Then make sure the kids smoothly out of east over up there, and then find out what we can do the east. That'd be the next big project.
We'll take that up in a couple minutes, because that's going to be the next one. But, I mean, do you see Woodland as a good thing for the town?
It was needed. If it wasn't now, it'd be down the road, be a lot more money, because the population is always growing. It's not getting any smaller here. It's growing, and you have to make sure you have enough classrooms for the kids.
It's so. I mean, you talk about the ultimate of irony. When Woodland was built, you know, it was the elite school. Years ago, we went away from neighborhood schools because people were screaming that Woodland had special kids. Did you ever buy that?
No. And then they built that they built Brookside, right?
Right.
Back then, the late 70s. I remember.
It just amazed me because when I went and looked at the data, I remember laughing when I said, you know, 1/3 of the valedictorians came out of Woodland? And everybody, see? I said, yeah, 1/3 came out of Brookside and 1/3 came out of Memorial. There was no difference where you came from.
No, not then.
And it's not like one is in East Zimbabwe. What are they, a mile apart?
Yeah, maybe 2. Well,
Yeah,
it could be 2, but I think they're a mile.
You know, even 2 miles from one end from Memorial to Woodland. It's just not that far away.
No, right down the road.
Do you have any idea what you think the best benefit would be to the new Woodland school?
It'd be better in the old one. That's one thing. I know it was cramped. This one, at least you got plenty of classrooms. And everything will be all up to grade stuff, which should be good for the kids. Teach them better. Probably that. I know a lot of people complained to get to build a new school. Like, well, you needed it. It was time.
Well, I mean, anytime you spend $60 million,
It's a lot of money.
you can't say that's not a huge investment.
It is.
You know, I mean, I'm amazed when I see houses around for $500,000 and more. I joked around once. I said, when I grew up, I think you could have bought Milford for $500,000. They would have thrown in Hopedale on the side.
Yep. Maybe part of Mendon too.
Yeah, there you go. And now we're talking about one building, $60 million.
And everything that gets built now is a lot of money. It's just the way it's going today.
Well, and plus the technology
Is a
investment.
lot better too today. So that's why they do it that way. 'Cause this school will last for another probably 20, 40, 50 years when it's done. It'll be good.
It would certainly be better for anybody who went to Woodland or the original Brookside. I guess back in the 60s, 70s, the whole kumbaya, everybody sit around together concept was nice when you had all those open classrooms.
Yep.
Never could figure them out.
And how could you teach one class and they're watching probably the other class and they're next right there? You're like, oh, okay.
No, I saw the teachers put up the big file cabinets,
Try to block it up.
try and block it, and
But you
then
still hear them.
oh, that was the thing. You'd get the two teachers both trying to say, okay, can you not do I don't want to say noisy, but an active class at 10 o'clock because I'm doing my reading class? Because I can't imagine trying to keep the attention of 20-some, third graders, second graders, if right next door there's 20 more of them cheering and yelling and, I mean,
Yep.
somewhere somebody thought that was a good concept.
Back then, not now. It'd be loud now.
I mean, how do you feel the fact that we can do a Woodland and a Brookside back when without doing any overrides?
It was good back then. I think it was better, probably economy-wise, everything back then. Today, it's tougher today.
But yeah, we're doing it.
Yep.
We're not doing an override. I
Nope.
mean, that profanity isn't being used. We're not doing a debt exclusion.
We're doing it. We got the funds for it, and we can do it.
Well, I mean, for what, 10, 12 years, we've been going in front of town meeting, and people like you have been supporting the concept. Remember, we talked about Woodland. The only thing I could get up and say is we've been talking about we're putting money away in stabilization because the school's coming.
Yep, I remember.
It's here, and now we can absorb it without, increasing. I think the high school at Franklin is costing, I thought it was $500 a home every year for 20 years,
A lot of tax money.
on top of the normal increases. So when you look at something like that,
We're actually probably a little better off in Franklin.
it just,
Some towns are different than others. That's the way it goes.
yeah, I worry.
But we save our money wisely in Milford, too, and we have it to do stuff like this and get it done.
Yeah, because I worry when you start raising taxes, and every year they go up.
Yes, they do.
But, in my mind, our job is to get the job done with as small of a raise as possible.
Yep.
We got a lot of people, people who built this town. The reason we're here
Yes.
is a lot of the people that are now living on Social Security of $1,200, $1,400. You raise taxes, you'll chase them out of town.
I know a lot of them. They told me. I listen.
So, the fact that we can do it without hitting people hard.
That's why I believe a lot of them stay here, because they like how it works. The town's run good, and we can do everything for schools, everybody, the way it works.
Well, another big program that we have in town is special needs. And I'm thinking of that because, you mentioned the budget's going to be tough. A couple years ago, we had to come up with $650,000 above and beyond the school budget just to take care of special needs. Any thoughts?
We find a way, if it comes to that, because that's what we do. They're good people, too.
Well, I mean,
And they deserve,
They're our
all the
kids.
funded, we have to fund them.
there are kids.
I know some that are in it, and they need to be funded. I'm 100% for them.
And again, that one's one of those things that comes down to, in my mind, the state says you must. And frankly, Charlotte, I don't give a damn.
Yep.
We will because they're our kids.
Yes, they are.
You can't force me to do right by our. I guess you can.
Yes.
You can put me striped pajamas. Don't get me excited. But
Yep.
when you think about it, I'd hate to think we're doing it because the state said we have to. We're doing it because we're taking care of our kids.
We have to take care of them.
Any thoughts on some of the people who are against us funding special needs at the rate we do? Say that we attract people to Milford because they want to be part of the special needs program. Any thoughts or anything on that?
Try to teach them not to be so negative and show them, hey, they're human too. You got to take care of them. It's part of. I know people complain about money, but you have to take care of them. Bottom line, the kids come first. Remember that.
Yeah.
They deserve all the stuff they can give them.
I laugh and I sit there and say, if the worst thing that we find out we did on the way to taking care of our kids is we took care of a couple kids that are from other towns, I don't think that's too bad.
No, it's not.
Because we're doing it not because I want to take care of kids from other towns. We're doing it because we've got to take care of Milford kids.
Yep, that's true.
And if a few other kids can benefit from it,
Good. Bring them on in.
exactly.
They will learn and they like it, and that's how it helps them.
And, it's special needs, but they're no more special and no less special than the kids who play football. We built them a football stadium. The kids who play soccer, we built a soccer pitch.
Yep.
They're just another group of kids with different requirements.
Yep, that's true.
You know, girls wanted a softball field, we built a girls' softball field.
Keep everybody happy. That's the way it works.
No more special, less special than every other group in Milford that,
Nope,
I mean, we just spent $5 million on a youth center.
that's coming along nicely. I hear him jackhammering every day over there.
Oh, you can hear them from you.
I can hear him. Oh, they find a lot of ledge in there. Hey, Milford's all ledge. What do
I
you
was going to
expect?
say, wait a minute, it wasn't Milford pink granite?
Yep, it was all ledge, they said, the whole time.
Good news is we have Milford pink granite. Bad news is you have Milford pink granite.
Everywhere. But it's a good thing. It's going to help the kids, too, when that's done. Get even more probably involved. It's good.
But again, just another group of kids, you know, and no more special, no less special
Nope.
than all the other ones that we take care of in different ways.
True. Yes.
Well, close to you is Middle School East.
Yes, it is.
You went through Middle School East.
Yes, I did.
Any thoughts on what do we do with Middle School East?
Now, there's no parking there for one, so I can't really do a lot with that idea. Maybe a satellite college, probably. I hear stuff, the gym they want to save for the youth center, which that's a good idea. I would like to see the gym stay for the town, because that's a nice gym. But the rest, you can sub it out to satellite college. There's ones that probably willing to come in.
Be nice if we could find one.
Yep.
One that doesn't need a lot of parking.
I know. That'd be the tough one. There's not really much parking there.
Well, see, every time I hear, well, wouldn't it be wonderful to turn it over to somebody to develop?
Where's the parking?
Well, I sit there and say, yes, if you could take that much real estate and turn it over and make it tax generating,
I'm all for it.
yeah, my visceral reaction is yes.
Just
Okay.
Where's the parking? That's the key.
But can they do it with 12 cars? And I think that's going to be the biggest issue. The second issue is the town needs space.
They do, yes. You can do that too. Make offices out of it for the town. They can park there and they can use the basketball court during the day.
Sure. Well, I mean, think about the high school. When Milford High opened up, 74, we were the first class out of there. There were 222 kids. It's interesting because last year we graduated, 268 or something like that.
Yeah.
So we've added one kid per year to the high school. It seems like Milford's
doesn't
grown a
seem
lot
like
faster,
it.
didn't
Yes.
it?
There's a lot more than I thought in that.
But 222 graduated with me, or 221 plus me, and last year 268. It's been 40 years since I graduated. So you turn around and say, okay, that's an average of one new kid per year.
Yeah.
But what Jose Vieira explained to me once is the requirement, the square footage, the geography per kid is much, much larger today than when we were there.
Yep.
You know, it's not just the special needs programs, but everything
A
takes
lot.
up more space. You
A
know,
lot more kids too today coming in too.
but you know, you think about it and you say, okay, how big was the computer room when you were there?
Not big.
We didn't even have one. There weren't computers, you know, it was the central office. So one of the questions is if we move central office, say down to east, you'd open up some room in the high school.
Yep. A lot of room actually.
You know, what would you think of that idea?
That's a good idea.
The other thing, let me ask you a question. When we were kids, you hit 8th grade, and there was a decision point where the inflection point was if you were going to college, you stayed Milford High. If you didn't want to go to college, you typically went to BVT. Not the same anymore, is it?
No, it's not.
So what do we do with, you know, I always say my father, when he came to this country, he was the most educated uneducated man I know. He had 4 years of school in Portugal, because that's what you got. So when it came down to books, he wasn't the most knowledgeable. It was not what he did. But if you put a tool in his hand, the man was an artist. He could do anything with tools.
A lot of people are like that too.
But I wonder what, if my father went to Milford school system today and he hit the 8th grade and he just not one of the most academically high performers. He loves working. Could he get into BVT today?
You probably could if it was opening.
Yeah, but you got to be almost the top 10% of the
Yeah.
class.
Yep, today. A lot different today.
So, you know.
Because that school upgraded too.
Well, they get to pick.
Yep.
So if you're not in the top academic performance band, they won't take you.
Nope.
Okay, so I want to be a carpenter or a plumber, a tradesman. If I can't get into BVT, what do I do?
No, Milford High.
But Milford High doesn't have any programs.
No, we don't have any.
I mean, that's one of the things we've asked the good Dr. Tremblay is, okay, you know, here's a group of special needs kids. You know, here's kids that have wonderful hands. They just don't necessarily want to put them towards book learning.
Yep, true.
They're just not the academicians of the future. That's not what they do. How do we take care of them? Any ideas?
Ask the businesses around if they can teach them, like the hospital or the hotel, stuff like that. Teach them stuff. Maybe they can get a career that way. And sometimes it works too for a lot of them. They get good careers out of it.
The internship programs work well. I mean,
Yes,
I know
they
the
do.
colleges, being a biotech company, we get solicited quite a number of times by both colleges and individual kids to come and do internships at Harvard Apparatus. And that works out well. I've hired a number of them. It's been funny. And you get juniors. I mean, one of the recent hires was a junior that came in. He spent a summer with us. Then he came in a day a week over the fall. Then the spring. Then he spent another summer with us. He was a sophomore, so that would have been his junior year. Senior year, he came in a day a week. He arranged his classes. And by the time it rolled around for senior year, we hired him. He was already trained. We already knew what he was like.
Yep.
So, you know, your idea of using the local businesses is a wonderful idea.
It helps.
I think they're doing that with the hotel program.
Yes, they are. I saw that. And it's working well, he says, too.
What a great way as a kid to get some experience.
And a lot of them, they like it. They want to do it. And then to help them. Some will maybe no, but others, they like it. They're going to stick with it.
Well, I mean, to me, it's just as important to learn what you don't want to do. I mean, I was convinced I wanted to be a lab rat. You know, a chemist, go hide in the chemistry laboratory and do research. I got very lucky that somebody at Waters, you know, good company in our own little town, gave me an internship. After 6 months, I realized I don't want to be in the lab the rest of my life. But that was so critical to learn at 19 versus going on, getting a PhD, doing, and then realizing
I don't want it.
I don't want it.
Now I got to find something else.
I got to start again. Any programs you can think of in Milford, in the school system, that you would look at first to improve?
I got the. Which ones? Not really. Maybe the community use program is a good one. Maybe get that a little more better. Get more people involved, the kids.
Now that's been a successful program Lenny's done a great job for many years. You know, that would be one that I would agree. Expanding it is always good. Whoa.
I had a present.
I was going to say, aren't we lucky? I didn't feel an earthquake or anything,
No,
but
me neither.
the trees are falling.
They like me.
They like you. See, there's another program that moving it into a more public area. You know, I've heard many people say that since the community use program is in the school,
Yep.
Jen Walsh and Lenny do the best they can, but how do you get in to see them during the day?
Tad.
It's hard. But you wouldn't want it any easier.
No.
The last thing I think any of us would want to see is the security downgraded at the school.
No. You need it.
Yeah, we need it. The better, the more the better. But having access to them in a more public area might be easier for a lot of people.
Used to be a good spot too for that, but parking.
Here you go.
That's the parking. That's the only thing about that building. If you had the park, that'd be fine.
Yeah.
I just think it's the way it was built back in the day, and there's just no parking there.
Well, but you think about it. What did you need parking for? I went in, now it's down in Consigli's.
Yep.
You know, God bless Anthony for saving that old building for us.
Beautiful job.
I mean, yeah, there's the true Milford boy. You know, heart in the right place. You know, how many of us went into that old St. Mary's building? I didn't last long. I remember running away because I saw the girl next to me get whacked with a ruler. When I got home, my mother said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Mm-mm. She got whacked with a ruler for talking. I'm going to get killed. It's only a matter of time."
Yep.
And then I went up to the West Street School. But, you know, your heart still is in those old buildings. They're made of Milford granite.
How many left? I think there's only a couple left. Oliver Street.
Oh, please. When I first moved back to Milford, I was so depressed because every school I had been in was torn down or I won't say dismantled, but made into other West Street School. Oh, look, there's a parking lot. Not even, just a field.
Yep.
I go down to Oliver. Well, now it's no longer a school.
Apartments.
Apartments. We left Oliver Oliver was 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we went to Spruce Street School. They put a library on top of my old school. And back then, the old Stacy was boarded up.
It was.
So I kept looking around saying, I'm depressed that all the schools that I went to have been closed.
Yep. Only two stores standing. North Purchase up there.
Yeah,
And
but that's
all-
not really used anymore.
No. More history now.
Yeah.
Which is good. You gotta keep it. It's history.
I was really happy that they kept Stacy and built inside of it. You know.
They saved the building, basically, and they added on. Just the
Yeah.
middle there, piece. But
The middle, remember the trauma of when you were in 8th grade and you had to walk across that parking lot to the high school? God almighty, that was the scariest. Well, walking from Spruce Street, going from 6th grade to 7th grade.
that's
Walking,
how it was back then. Oh, yeah.
then you earn the right to sit on the wall. Only the downside, because the big kids sat up on the top side.
Oh, across from the library now.
Yes. It's so funny when the kids talk about sitting on the wall as if it's something new.
Not new. I see all the history on it.
If somebody was to ask you, does Milford have a good school system?
Yes, I believe so. Good sports, we got that. They're always there every year.
That we do.
We have good sports teams. You look at the hockey team.
Hey,
They won a playoff game.
they won a playoff game. Isn't that exciting?
Well, that's good. They're getting there. They're going to be something real soon, it looks like.
I remember the first year they put hockey in Milford High. The athletic department really wasn't fond of hockey If you remember back in the 70s, our biggest rival, the Canadians.
Yep.
So when we got our Milford High shirts, we naturally assumed they would be Detroit Red Wings, the red and white. Didn't we get Canadians shirts? If any of us could have afforded it, we would have probably turned them back and bought, red and white shirts.
Yep.
But back then, who could afford, $9 for a new shirt?
Yep.
Or $10 for that shirt. But that was so funny. God, we wanted to turn those shirts inside out because you just couldn't see yourself wearing a Canadian shirt. But then when my kids went through school, the hockey team was just getting started again. But they didn't win many games.
No.
Kind of exciting to see them win now.
They're doing better. I think when they change over in the Hallmark League, that helped them.
Is that what it was?
Different teams playing against different towns. You get your good and bad in every. That's how it goes, and even the big leagues. But at least they're giving them confidence. Now next year they'll be even better.
Yeah.
If they're all back, but don't know how many seniors are on there.
Yeah, but even if you don't have all the seniors,
The other kids know.
the other kids, they'll grow up. If you strengthen your program, little by little, it'll get stronger.
Yep.
And we've always had good baseball.
Oh yes. Last year, definitely.
So now as we look forward, you're dealing with the immigration problems. When somebody asks you, do you think Milford's a good school system? You say yes. You're dealing with the drug problems, and they ask you, do you think Milford's a good school system? You say yes.
Yes.
And then they say, why? Why do you believe Milford's a good school system?
That they learn. They teach them the right way. Try to. Some might get off track. It happens. That's part of life. It does happen. I thought, hey, this town's pretty good. People always complain. No, it's not. Like, yeah, it is. It's a good town. It's not as bad as some places you could live in. Things happen. It's everywhere. We can't say it's not going to be here. It happens here. Stuff happens. You see it all the time. You've seen it.
I think the fundamental question I ask is, where would you rather live?
Milford.
If you're sitting here at the center of the universe and you say, well, it should be better. Well, look around us and tell me what town you think is better.
Yep.
And I truly believe that Milford has a good school system. And, I've always told Bob Tremblay and crew, the ultimate judge to me are the universities. Because if they thought we had a bad school system.
They will be picking the kids.
Exactly.
And they pick a lot of them.
When my Alexis applied, she got into every school she applied to. Okay.
They're showing you something. Colleges know.
And this wasn't like, Okefenokee Community College. She applied to BC, she got in, that other Jesuit school. Holy Cross, Clark. You start going down the lists, and she applied to some pretty good schools. My Emily came out, and she only wanted to go to one school, Holy Cross.
Good school.
And they accepted her. So you start seeing the caliber of schools that are accepting our kids. Kind of hard to not say, hey guys, you're doing a good job.
Some people just don't look at it that way, but you have to. It's a good school, and the colleges are taking them all, and they do.
Yeah, and realistically, is Milford, are the schools perfect? No.
No, they're not.
I don't think you go anywhere.
None of the towns are perfect. They all have their issues going on. It happens everywhere.
But it's something special. I laughed so hard when we came back for our first parents' meeting at the high school. And I had always told my daughter that my old biology teacher was always a nitpicker. He never graded fairly. And it was funny because when I went into him, I saw Francis Jablonski. And sure enough, I said, you still don't grade fairly. And he says, I beg to differ. And I said, My daughter's got a 98 average. I had similar average, 98, 99. You always took a point off. You always found some nitpicking reason.
Yep.
And it was funny, because he just looked, he said, yeah, but it really made you try just a little harder, didn't it? And he was right.
Yep. He knew what he was doing.
He knew exactly what he was doing. He was, pardon my French, pissing me off, because I
knew.
wanted the 100.
Because you were a kid back then, you didn't know any better. And he's like, I get these kids that weren't even had, and that's a good thing.
And that was wonderful. You know, remember Uncle Paul? Uncle Paul Raftery. Couldn't ask for a better principal. I mean, he came senior year. He took 3 of us and sent us to Dean Jr. because we had run out of science courses. We didn't have the internet back then.
Nope.
God almighty, we had stone tablets. Yeah.
They didn't have cell phones back then, nothing back then.
What a difference. One thing that seems to be changing, I'll ask your opinion. When we were kids, it was pretty clear that we were sent to school to be educated. Today, it seems like the teachers are being asked to raise the kids too.
True.
You know, when I think about it, my father never laid a hand on me, but I think if I ever embarrassed him, he would have not been real happy with me. Do you see that trend?
Yeah, it's different today. Because back then, I listened. My mother would have went after me, so she might get mad at me for saying that. But hey, I learned, I listened. I respect them for that. And some of the kids today, I see. But because I think today, it's different today's society. It's not like it was we grew up, when I grew up.
When we grew up, I think the worst thing you could do is embarrass your family. You know, God almighty, if I screwed up, yeah, put me in detention, make me do anything you want, but don't call home.
Yep.
Please don't call my mother or my father.
And they're going to fix him when he gets home.
You know, I think it's different today. There's a lot more kids coming to school that just have a different discipline schema.
Yep.
That's going to be harder and harder on the teachers.
Well, I can feel their pain, probably, too.
But what do you tell them? What can they do?
Try. Some you might reach some of them, they listen. Some maybe not, but some if you get a couple to listen, that's a good thing. Maybe some will follow. But today it's different, I guess. It's the way society's going.
Well, I think too, a lot of it, you have a lot more single dad, single
Yes.
mom families. You know, and now
Raising kids, single moms. That's the way a lot of that today.
I don't know how they do it. God bless them. I remember when I was coaching soccer, I barely could keep up with my 2 daughters, and there were 3 of us, you know, because my sainted mother lived with us. So you had grandma, my darling bride, and me. I can't imagine, you know, that you'd be by yourself. Where these poor, and mainly women, but men too, where they get a moment to themselves.
Some don't, and some I don't think care, because they're doing it for their kid,
Yeah.
and I respect them for that.
And the people who do that, you do have to respect them. You know, you do have to do everything you can to try and help out. Because, God, doing it all themselves has got to be that much tougher.
Oh, I'm sure.
If you could think of one program, you get the magic wand. You could have anything you want in the school to improve it. Can you think of one thing you'd pick?
Maybe get the kids more involved in town government, teach them that way. I know they're doing a greenhouse. That'd be a good thing for the kids to get involved with. Teach them good stuff. Learn a little more. I know he's doing a robotic program. Expand that more into other stuff. But you got to look and see what the budgets will be first. If you can,
Yes.
then you can probably talk to them, get something good in there, get the kids to like it. There's a lot of stuff you can do. Just have to work around stuff first. That's the way a lot of it works.
So now you're elected. Your life is gonna revolve around 4. There's 7 school committee members, and for you to get anything done, you have to get 4 votes. How are you gonna work with 6 other people to get 3 of them to agree with you?
You gotta find a way. You gotta work together to get stuff done. Come from a compromise. That works that way sometimes. And not all the time you're gonna have it your way either. That's the way it works in anything. I know that. There's ways you can find ways to work things, and if it don't, then you try the next time around until you get it done right. Because they might have a different opinion, and you might like their opinion more than yours. And then it works that way too. The way it works, that's how I see it. If I want to work with anybody, that's the way I've always been. I like to listen, and if I like it, I'm going to help you more to get it passed.
So now somebody asks, Scotty, why are you doing this? You don't have any family in the school system anymore, right? They all graduated out, which is a good thing.
No, my nephews graduate, so I got nobody there.
So why are you doing this?
They give back to the town even more. A different set of eyes, so you can look at everything for the kids, taxpayers, everybody. That's the way it should be. You need them. And I enjoy the Milford. I'm born and raised here, so I want to help the town even better, make the school system even better. Maybe bring in some better programs down the road. Stuff like that.
Getting near the end. I want to leave you a couple minutes, but I want to ask a question that I started with. But before I do that, is there any area we haven't touched on that you want to talk to the voters about?
I don't believe so. I believe we talk about everything that's important. There's some of those we talk about are going to be very important. The drug one will be big, I think, when I saw that.
That's a scary movie.
Because that, to me, is scaring me.
You know, I guess what little liberalism I have goes away for anybody who would hurt a 15-year-old.
Because that's too young, in my opinion.
You know, I mean, the thought of medical treatment involving a 12-gauge enema, I know is politically incorrect, but, you know, when you're an adult and you make a foolish choice, okay, shame on you.
You learn from it.
But a teenager?
That's too, they're only a kid.
I mean, for the love of God, you know, you hear people who hurt kids in bad ways, but this drug thing, I mean, our parents probably sat around. There wasn't cable TV back then.
No, it wasn't.
But they probably talked about the same issues we are, saying, what can you do?
Yeah, teach them better. I try to reach out to them.
You got to try. I mean, it's got to be a scary movie that the kids are out there.
Doing it. I didn't know.
You know, when we were there, the drugs were there. I mean, back in the 70s.
Oh, they were there.
They were always there.
They're always there. You just don't see it, but it's there. But it's getting, I guess, worse and worse, what I saw in that report. So, and it's not good when I see 15-year-old. That's too young.
The only good news in that report, in my mind, was that we had Tom, our police chief, actively involved.
And that's a good thing for us.
You know, that gives me a better sense, you know, because there's somebody that I trust.
I trust him.
You know, I mean, his son and my daughter used to ride to school together, so you could see he brought up good family. He took pride in his family. And I got to believe if there's anything that can be done,
He will do it.
he'll figure it out.
Yes, he will.
You know. So, gone through a lot of things. Come down to one basic question, just like we started. Scott, I'm from Milford. Why should I vote for you?
Well, I want to get involved more with the town. I believe the school system is the best place to do it. Help the taxpayers and the children, number one priority, and make sure they have the better goals they need for future endeavors. I believe I can do it.
Well, thank you for stepping up, because I think that's the most critical attribute, is when somebody says, yes, I want to help the kids, and I'm willing to step up and help. So regardless of the election, I wish you the best, but I want to start off by saying thank you.
Thank you for having me here, Al.
And as always, I thank our 6 loyal viewers for watching. And as always, I'll never ask you to vote for any specific candidate, but I'll beg you, when the election day comes, number one, be informed. Whether you watch this show or others, get to know the candidates that are running, for school committee, for selectmen, for the other races. And then please, I beg you, get out and tell the town who you feel is the best candidate to take care of our kids. Because I've said it before, although probably like selectmen are more visible,
Yes.
By high school we were lucky to get a couple hours a night, a few minutes in the morning with our children. The schools get 6 to 8 hours a day, and the school committee sets the vision as to where we're going and how we're getting there. So there is nothing more important for me, in my mind, than voting in the right people. And I guess the right people comes down to pick one that you feel comfortable with, or pick 3 that you feel comfortable with. So as always, may God bless, and may tomorrow be a better day than today. Good night all, and thank you.
Not too long since I've been home.